Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. It is a real privilege and honor to speak to you today. I was asked by the BUSA team to give an overview of the just transition and why it's important for South Africa and for business. Firstly, South Africa is an energy-intensive, middle-income developing country, and we recognize the need to contribute our fair share to the global climate change effort. Importantly, we are highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change and to transition risks that will impact business, the economy, and society at large, exacerbating current national circumstances, if not managed. The country is characterized by one of the highest Gini coefficients, making us the most unequal society in the world. High unemployment, with more than 50% youth unemployed, more than 55% of people living in poverty, and 10% living in extreme poverty. These statistics are alarming and cannot be exacerbated in our transition to net zero. The shift to low carbon energy sources means people's livelihoods who are reliant on the fossil fuel industry will immeasurably shift between today and 2050. So what does this all mean for someone whose livelihood is derived from coal mining today? Studies show that workers in the coal value chain have between 10 to 12 dependents. Our own analysis through BUSA, NBI, and BCG shows that just for the electricity, mining, and petrochemical sector, we are looking at about 2.5 million jobs at risk from a direct, indirect, and induced basis. We worry about coal and power today, but if we think about the transition in the liquid fuel sector, there are nearly as many people employed on the petrol station forecourts, and they too will be impacted. You and I appreciate that change can be uncomfortable at the best of times, but change associated with the impact on your livelihood is even more frightening and uncertain. Questions that are in your mind is, how will I pay for my children's education? How am I going to pay for my mortgage or my rent or my bond? And where's my next salary coming from? And how am I going to pay for food? In South Africa, as the energy transition embarks on a decarbonization, we are working in collaboration with government and all stakeholders to ensure society can chart a path that is fair and just for those that will be impacted by the transformation. Therefore, as business, we support the call for a just transition as countries and industries shift to deliver on the goals aligned to the Paris Agreement. Our vision for the country is a shift towards environmentally sustainable economies and societies for all, and that such a transition is well managed and contributes to the goals of decent work, inclusion, and the eradication of poverty and inequality for all South Africans. In response, South Africa is committed to emissions being between 350 million tonnes to 420 million tonnes by 2030 as a platform for our transition towards net zero mid-century. We will need significant investment to transition, and all sectors of society will have to work together to build strong and resilient society. Collaboration, coordination, consultation between the public and private sector will be crucial in building this enabling environment. The opportunities are large and can deliver 200% growth in GDP and a decrease in poverty by more than half. This is based on the recent statistics released by IDRI at COP26. Further, we must set the country on a new, more equitable and sustainable development path, one which builds new local industries and value chains. Ultimately, we must create a society that is better than today. To do this, we must focus on multiple opportunities across the economy, such as growth in green hydrogen, green steel, renewable sectors, and of course, localization of the value chains. Green industrialization and transition opportunities should move beyond just jobs and reskilling to genuine transformation. Here we need to focus on social and ecological welfare, managing geographic and cultural dislocation, education, capacitation and skilling, economic inclusion and participation, ownership. Preliminary work by the NBI already shows that ownership can significantly shift from private sector to people, private funds, pension funds by 2050. We also need to work on quality of work, infrastructure planning and rollout, policy and governance. These are all critical areas and enablers for the just transition. The recently committed 8.5 billion by the major governments to support our country's transition is a start. However, it's nowhere near the trillion rand investment needed to overhaul the current energy and minerals complex in South Africa. We have made inroads from a governance perspective. The South African government, through the presidency, has set up the Presidential Climate Commission to develop a national just transition framework to guide the approach to be followed, taking national circumstances into account. The critical structure advising the highest levels of office elevates the just transition to where it needs to be for success. This year, the PCC has already delivered key outcomes that is allowing dialogue for alignment and much needed action. The PCC brings together government, organized labor, civil society, and business to collaborate in building a social compact for a just transition. A key element of the just transition in South Africa is the social compact. We know that our goals are collective and cannot be achieved by any one facet of society alone. We acknowledge that the just transition will not be easy, but through broad and targeted interventions that involve and engage affected workers, women who are disproportionately impacted by climate change, and communities, ensures the important voices are heard and will form part of the process of developing fit-for-purpose solutions. In response, business in South Africa is unequivocally committed to decarbonize and grow the key opportunities presented to us in a low-carbon future. Highlights of this work has been shared at COP26. We take climate change seriously and are serious about building a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable economy. A just transition cannot be a panacea for all our challenges as a country, but it is incumbent on us as we traverse this major transformation to ensure that our work benefits all the people of South Africa. Thank you.